So Apple just recently launched a refresh to their 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro models. These now feature more powerful M2 Pro and M2 Max chips, Bluetooth 5.3, Wi-Fi 6E, and an upgraded HDMI 2.1 port. I've spent the last 2 weeks working off a M2 Pro 14-inch model that was loaned to me by Apple, and I have some thoughts. So in 2021, I purchased this, a M1 Max 14-inch MacBook Pro with 64 gigabytes of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage. It was the most money I've ever spent on a piece of tech in my life. It was an investment I was okay with because I'd be running my entire YouTube channel off of it, and also because I was seriously due for an upgrade. For context, my previous MacBook was a 2013 MacBook Pro. That old MacBook served me really well for a solid 8 years, and I fully expect my 2021 MacBook Pro to last just as long, which is why I went a little crazy on the RAM and storage upgrades. The new models are, as expected, more powerful and have slightly better connectivity, but look identical to the previous model. After the big changes to the design in 2021, I don't think anyone was expecting anything major this time around. In general though, there's a lot to like here from an everyday laptop. Even though I'm more of a mouse person, the trackpad on these MacBooks is probably the best you'll find on any laptop. The keyboard is very comfortable to type on, even for long periods. The 1080p webcam could be better, but gets the job done and is paired with great mics. Touch ID works 100% of the time, so I can kind of look past Apple not including Face ID. And the speakers? Oh man, the 6-speaker sound system is easily one of my favorite things about this machine. With that being said, I do have a few minor gripes. The notch is an obvious one. You'll of course get used to it over time, but it just isn't very pretty on what otherwise is a beautiful color accurate mini LED screen. Blooming is also a well-known drawback for mini LED displays. It hasn't bothered me too much, but you might feel differently. Next, I often use my iPad Pro side by side with my MacBook, and for some reason, Pro Motion on the iPad feels slightly smoother to me, especially when moving windows around. The MacBook just feels a step behind. Lastly, the MacBook's body also has some fairly sharp edges that can feel a little uncomfortable if picked up or held in certain ways. But overall, man, this is a good looking laptop. It's an expensive product and they do a good job making it look that way. So Apple's decision to opt for a thicker design to accommodate a wide variety of ports deserves a lot of praise. Heck, I wouldn't even mind if they throw a single USB-A port on here just to make it more friendly for older accessories. It's not like this new design is even that thick or hard to handle, at least with the 14-inch version. I'll take convenience and functionality over a thin design any day of the week. As a video creator, I cannot stress how nice it is to have a full-size SD card slot built right into the laptop. I don't know what it is, but the majority of the Windows laptops that I've had the chance to use tend to include micro SD card slots instead. Most cameras use full-size SD cards, right? And being able to pop it right into the MacBook is a convenience I never want to give up. Sure, a dongle like this isn't the end of the world, but it gets tedious real quick, especially if you're on the go.
Tell him no, 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 no.
The M2 Pro and M2 Max SoCs are the biggest change for 2023. You can expect anywhere between 20 to 30% improvements in performance over previous models. The M2 Max can also now be configured with up to 96 gigabytes of RAM if you happen to be one of the few people that might need and benefit from all that. If you haven't used an Apple Silicon Mac yet, it really is impressive how good the performance is combined with how efficient it runs. I actually like Windows laptops, but every single one I've used for video editing runs louder than I like. These M-powered MacBooks run so quiet, it's unbelievable. The only time I've actually heard the fans kick in is when I'm rendering videos. Even then, it's rare. For video creation, it just eats through 4K footage without breaking a sweat. Now, I've edited a couple of videos in DaVinci Resolve with the new M2 Pro MacBook Pro with 32 gigabytes of RAM, and to be honest, for my workflow, it performs exactly like my M1 Max with 64 gigs of RAM. What that tells me is that I probably could have saved some money by going with a lower spec model, but like I said, I wanted my 2021 model to last me for as many years as possible. It's way more power than I can make use of right now, with hopefully plenty of headroom for the future. It's an investment, right? Battery life isn't really something I'm personally all that concerned about, since I typically edit while plugged into an external monitor, which keeps the MacBook charged up. I did some video editing on battery just to see how good the M2 Pro's battery is, and it was able to last the full 4 hours it took me to edit the last video on my channel. If you're just browsing the web or working in Microsoft Office, you can easily expect over 10 plus hours, which is really, really good. Now, at the end of the day, these are very pricey machines. The starting price for the base 14-inch M2 Pro model is $2,000. And then we can't forget how savage Apple is when it comes to memory and storage upgrades either. They're definitely overcharging for those upgrades, but I can confidently say after over a year of daily usage with my M1 Max MacBook Pro, it's the best laptop I've ever owned. And now, after testing the M2 Pro variant for a few weeks, you can basically expect the same great experience with more power and better connectivity that should make them even more future-proof. So if you haven't guessed, I'm obviously not gonna upgrade to the new one because that would just be silly and financially reckless. My only regret is that I didn't go with the silver one. The advice I'm seeing from a lot of people is to just get the older M1 Pro or M1 Max models since they'll be cheaper now and are still super powerful laptops. I completely agree with that, especially if you aren't pushing these laptops anywhere close to their limits. But on the other hand, if you're already spending this much money, you could argue that the extra power and improved connectivity of the new models might pay off in the long run. Everyone's financial situation and use case is different, so you just gotta weigh out the pros and cons yourself. Either way, you're getting a really great laptop that I have no problem recommending if you're in the market for a premium laptop. As usual, thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'm out of here. Bye!